So Derek Sivers is this like programmer monk, philosopher king startup entrepreneur who started CD Baby, which was the largest marketplace for independent musicians at the time. Sold it for, I think, $24 million. But he and Seth Godin, I think, are two examples of people who are very good at genuinely, in real life, following contrarian rules that work exceptionally well. So Derek has a couple of one-liners that I think are really fantastic. So I'll give you a few. One is, if more information were the answer, we'd all be billionaires with six-pack abs. That's a good one, right? And just absorbing, not even absorbing, just reading and watching and listening to more isn't enough. Like, you have to apply it. You have to use incentives. You have to have rewards and punishments set for yourself so you actually get things done, timelines, etc. So that's one. Another one is don't be a donkey. And that, so he says that to himself all the time, like, don't be a donkey, don't be a donkey. And the reason is, there's I want to say, it might be a philosopher's paradox, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a parable about Buridan's ass. So Buridan's ass, it's about a donkey who is thirsty and hungry. And there's water on one side, a few feet away, and hay on the other. And he can't decide whether to do the hay first, or the water. The hay or the water. And he dies of thirst at the end of it. He couldn't do them sequentially.
Right.
So this is Derek's recommendation to his younger self, and really to any 20 or 30 something, but it applies to everybody, which is, in effect, you can do almost everything you want in life, but you can't do it at the same time.
Right.
And if you can just dedicate yourself to one thing for even a year, and then the next thing for a year, you can do those 10 things. But if you try to do all 10 at once, you're gonna be Buridan's ass. You're gonna be like, should I do this? Should I do this? Or should I focus on this? Or should I focus on this? So don't be a donkey. The other one that for me was so helpful to hear is, I think he calls it, it's like 95 versus 100%. And he tells the story of moving to around Santa Monica and his friends getting him into biking on the bike path. So up and down the boardwalk right on the water. And so, being a type A personality, he would get a stopwatch, he'd start it, and he'd like huff and puff and race as hard as he could all the way down to wherever, and he would time himself. And every day, no matter how hard he did it, 43 minutes. Right. 43 minutes. Just wouldn't improve, 43 minutes. And this thing that should have been enjoyable became painful in his mind. He started to avoid it. He'd be like, I have other things to do. No, instead of bike riding, I'll do this other thing. And he realized at one point, this is really pathetic, and this is really bad, that something that should be enjoyable, I am avoiding because I've made it so painful. He said, why don't I just go for a bike ride and enjoy it? So he goes for a bike ride, and it's just a leisurely cruise. He's chilling, he's riding around, and he's seeing dolphins in the water. He's standing up, he's looking around, noticing things he hadn't noticed before. At one point, this is Derek, he goes, at one point I looked up in the sky and there was a pelican, and I said, wow, a pelican, and it shit in my mouth. And I was like, ah! He's like, it was the best bike ride ever. I was like, okay. So he's having a great time. Pelican shit in the mouth notwithstanding. And he gets back and he looks at his watch, and I think it was 45 minutes. And he's like, wait, what? He's like, so all that huffing and puffing, all that like sweating, like leg cramps and pain was for an extra 2 minutes off the clock? That's outrageous. So he started applying that to his entire life. He's like, when it starts to get, now look, there are exceptions to all of this, right? But he said, when I start to get really stressed out, I just stop. Because I realize like 95% is enough for getting almost all of the results that I want and making it sustainable.